Okay, so hi guys. This is my very first episode, vlog. I'm not really sure what to call it. I'm sort of new to this world, but I started seeing a therapist this year, and she suggested that since I have so many thoughts that are always going through my head, to kind of say them out loud on video, and to keep kind of like a vlog and put it on YouTube. So that's kind of scary, but here we go. Um, so I am a nurse manager. I am an LPN at a SNF. For you non-medical folk, a SNF is a skilled nursing facility. So you have the hospitals where you have all the kind of acute care, the ER, different sections of the hospital tend to different things. And then there's nursing homes, which is more long-term care, people who need to stay there, assisted living, where people are a little bit more independent but can need just a little bit more help during the day. And then there's SNFs, like the place I work at, which is basically a post-acute rehab center, meaning that people who just had surgery or maybe just need a little bit extra rehab, maybe they just haven't been moving around as much as they used to, and so they just need some physical therapy, occupational therapy to get stronger. They come to us for a few weeks. So we have both Kaiser and Medicare. Obviously, I can't talk about specific patients or give any identifying factors. So just if I share any stories, I will be changing major facts, names, ages, etc. So anything I state on here will be HIPAA compliant. So I got my LPN back in 2018. School for me was terrible. Me and a few other girls, we went to this one LPN school, which I will just leave nameless for safety reasons, but it was awful. We were their first LPN class to go through, and the teachers there were literally abusive. Like, you hear the saying in the nursing field that nurses eat their young. Well, let me tell you, they eat them before they're even young. Like, it was so bad. I heard everything going through nursing school from my instructors and from our director. Everything saying like, you're never gonna make it. If I made anything less than an A, that I was stupid, that the nursing field was not the place for me. But I just wanted to be one so bad. So that year probably felt like a good, that last year, whatever, felt like a good 4 years all in one. But I'm so thankful I made it. I had the support of one of my really good friends now, Denise, and she was just awesome. We did it together. We actually, when we had to take our NCLEX, which is the nursing version of like boards or final exams where you can pass your state acceptance and get your nursing license. We live in Colorado right now. I grew up in Maine, but moved here. We actually drove all the way to Wyoming because at that time there was no spots available near us before 2019, and we were so determined. It was like December. We were so determined to get this done and get licensed before the end of the year. So we drove all the way to Wyoming, and I don't suggest this as like a studying technique or a way to like pass your boards, but for us, we hit the tequila hard. We got there and we were so nervous. We went out to eat and we drank, and I'm pretty sure one of us had like a bottle of rum we like slept with that night. We woke up in the morning with like food in our beds, went to take our boards, did not study a whole lot. Was so sure that we failed. Like, I finished within probably like 15 minutes of going in. And the test itself, I think they give you something like 3 hours. I finished within like 15 minutes. And so I was sitting outside waiting for Denise, and I just knew I failed. I was like, there's no way like that I finished with the minimum amount of questions in 15 minutes. And Denise came out on like a break, like halfway through, and she was just, oh my gosh, she was so stressed out. It stressed me out. And she was like, I guess on her test they asked her a whole bunch of questions like, about these childhood diseases that just made no sense that we didn't study in school. They're like all these specialty diseases. And she looked at me, she's like, what is this blah, blah, blah syndrome? And I was like, oh, dude, I don't know. I was like, oh my God. So she went to the bathroom, went back in, and she came out, and you don't find out right away. Like, I guess, years and years ago, you had to wait like 6 weeks or months to find out your results. Nowadays, you find out within a few days, but which is nice. But man, you can do this trick where you go in and you enter your credit card information after a couple hours after you finish the test. And if it allows you to schedule another test, then you failed. But if it doesn't, then usually you've passed. It's not 100%, but I've never seen it not work. So we were on our way home after we both finished. We were both freaking out, and Denise was so funny. She was driving, and we had like a snowstorm behind us. Like, they shut down the road after we left, and she was like, it's okay if I didn't make it, if I failed. She was like, don't feel bad for me. Like, it's okay. Like, I'm gonna be okay. Like, it's fine. Like, we were like psyching ourselves up for the fact that we failed. Like, it's fine. Like, probably shouldn't have drank last night. And then we did the trick, and we got like results so quick, and it said that basically it came back that we had both passed. So we didn't want to get our hopes up. Like, we were both like crying, laughing, like when you're so stressed that you just can't help but laugh, and then you're like hysterically crying, but you're also laughing, but you're also like, oh my God, like, I don't know what I'm feeling. That's what we were, like, mid breakdown. So we got so we got back. We waited a few days. Pretty sure we didn't even like talk for those few days. And then we got our results back. I got my results back first, and they said that I passed. And Denise, she was a previous respiratory therapist, so for some reason her results took longer because they had to like look at her other licenses too, because she had asked to renew them. So hers just took like so long, and we were so worried. And then finally it came back and said that she passed. So we were so happy. We didn't ever work in the same facility. We kind of went different ways. She has more experience in respiratory therapy, more acute settings. I had more experience. I was a CNA, a medical assistant, phlebotomist, a chiropractic ultrasound tech, everything kind of under the sun, for about 8 years before I got my LPN, and I'm in school to get my RN now. But I worked at the SNF, and I kind of worked my way up. I am a pretty fast learner. I catch on to things pretty quickly. I'm pretty good at interpersonal relations. So I was able to get to a nurse manager position when it opened up, which originally I was pretty nervous to take. But it ended up being really great, and I love it. I love it. I've learned so much, and it's really helped me in the path to my RM. I work with an amazing group of people, which I'm so lucky. I've heard so many like really bad stories of nurses who have a terrible time. And my first year at a SNF, it was terrible. Even though I had worked there as a CNA previously, I knew everybody. The building I'm at, I won't say the name of it, but it has multiple locations basically at the same building. So I was at one location. I actually had to go before the board of nursing to defend my license because someone at my facility, one of the people in charge, she got in trouble for a bunch of stuff and was told that she needed to fix it within the facility. And her way of fixing our facility, and all the tags we gotten from state, was basically to take 5 of the newer nurses, of which one of them I was, and lie about us and create fake med errors within the system and say that we had made med errors and that we had been educated on how not to make these med errors and that we continued to make these same mistakes. One thing that you'll learn about me as you go forward, if you continue to watch this, is that in my personal life, it's a little messy. I'm not OCD by any means, but in my work life, I'm very anal retentive. Everything is done to the T, to the by the law. Everything is, my cart is alphabetically organized. Everything is just perfect. And it drives me crazy if it's not. So to me, when they told me that I had med errors, I knew I didn't. I just knew I didn't because I triple check everything. So even if the CNA comes and tells me, that the patient's blood pressure was within parameters to give their blood pressure medication, when I go in there, if it's been more than 10 minutes, I'm going to recheck that myself. And maybe it's just a untrustworthy thing, but I don't know. I just don't. I trust things when I see it myself. So anyway, I was able to prove by going back to my charting. I chart everything like it's a story, like it's like I'm in court. That's how I chart. They say chart CYA, cover your ass, and that's what I chart daily. So if you go back under my charting, you'll see, the entire story of everything that happened from the beginning of the day till the end. And I was able to use that because I had noted certain different things that I had given within doctor's orders to prove that she was lying and that I had not given anything out of parameters, and that she tried to prove that because the CNA's blood pressure that they took on the patient said that it was below the parameters to give blood pressure medication, that I gave the blood pressure medication anyways, so it was a med error. What actually happened is the CNA took a blood pressure. It was low. They took it on a machine. The blood pressure cuff was too big. I went in, I took the blood pressure. The blood pressure was high manually. I double checked it. It was high manually. I documented that, and then I gave blood pressure medication as directed by the MD. So I was able to prove that to corporate, and they ended up firing that ED and the DON, and I transferred to another location. I ended up working with an amazing DON who is just so good, and just like, she just gives you honest to God, like, give a shit vibes. Like, when you walk in her office, she knows what she's doing. She knows every single person in the building. Like, to give you an idea of like just kind of the person she is for Nurses Week, although we don't have a big budget for many things. She's writing a personalized, like, handwritten note to every single nurse in the building, PRN and full-time. And she's having some of the nurse managers help out because we kind of have a larger staff. But for a SNF anyway, we have a few hundred people. So, but she's like literally saying something different to every single person, which is so nice and so personal. And I just feel so lucky to be where I am right now. But, I think these last couple of years, burnout is so real. And when I left that first place, my first year of nursing, this was like a last-ditch effort for me when I transferred. I did not want to be in nursing anymore after my experience there. I had been working a lot. I'd been working like 10 to 14 days on. These are like 12 to 16-hour shifts. And then taking maybe 2 days off and then doing that again. So when I was at my old building, the really bad one, I got in the position of charge nurse, which at that point in time I shouldn't have gotten. I was not anywhere near ready. I didn't have the knowledge base for it. But I was really good at directing things and making sure things happen. So that's why I got that position. But anyways, when I got that position, they hired somebody else after me. After I'd gotten used to the position, I set up my whole systems and everything. One of the DON's friends, the old DON, the bad one, she hired her friend to be in my position, and she didn't tell me. And she had me train them, and then kicked me off my position without telling me. Like, I just showed up one day and I wasn't in the charge nurse position. I was on the floor. And the other charge nurse was charge nurse over me. And it was never talked about. It was never discussed. And when I mentioned it, she was like, "Oh yeah, I just forgot to tell you." So it just kind of shot me down, made me feel like I wasn't doing something right. It wasn't worth it. But when I got nurse manager in my new building, I was ready for the challenge. I had a better knowledge base. I was able to triage situations. I had seen a lot more death for sure. And just different conditions, situations. I was able to help the nurses out a lot more and be a better resource for them. I think, when I graduated nursing school, I did not think that I would see as much death as I have. This last year has been really, really hard, both personally and occupationally. We've lost a lot of people, and I don't know. It's hard. I think death affects everybody differently. Like for me, when I used to see someone like as a CNA that was dead, I would be in tears in seconds. It really hit me hard to think that they were somebody's mother or daughter or niece, nephew, family member, and that there was a whole family grieving, and it felt their pain. And I've read all these things about people being empaths, or it's more like the spiritual community, but they believe in people being empaths, or feeling other people's emotions. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with titles, but I definitely fall under that category. I always have felt emotions so strongly, or not at all. I feel like when I feel them too strongly, I almost shut everything down. So yeah, it's just been a rough year. With COVID, we had to shut down, basically not allow any visitors in or out. We were COVID tested multiple times a week. And then just regardless of political beliefs, I think it was a rough year for everyone, Republicans, liberals, everybody. I myself identify as independent, more leaning left, but I think everybody's had a rough year. I don't think there's a single person, no matter what your beliefs are, that hasn't had a rough year. Some people definitely, for sure, more than others, especially minorities, but man, this year has been one for the books, for sure. I think as healthcare workers, it's just so important that we always look out for ourselves, and that's something I've learned this year. I realized maybe January, probably even before then, I think it was maybe even last year, I think it was mid-2020, and I started therapy. I just got to a point where my mental health was not in a good place. It's not even just everything was shut down, it was just, nursing is so much about human touch, and it's so much about being able to love on your patients, and you see people get better so much faster when they have strong families, connections, and not being able to provide my patients those resources, and just kind of seeing so many people go downhill so fast. Having a COVID unit, working that COVID unit, getting COVID myself, it was a really rough year. So I don't know, I had to start seeing a therapist. I got to a point where I was just so incredibly depressed that it was almost scary to me. When I was younger, in my teenage years, I had a moment where I really just didn't want to live anymore. I placed such a low value on my human life that I didn't care if I was here or not. I really, really, every day I would think I hope I get in a car crash. I hope something just takes me out so I don't have to do it myself. And then one day it just became too much, and I just tried to end it myself. And now looking back, fortunately, I can say fortunately, I didn't succeed, and I got the help that I needed now in my adult life, but I haven't felt that way in years. I am in a great relationship. I am taking care of myself. But therapy helped. That's my point. I feel like healthcare workers are one of the careers where we're just so used to taking care of everybody else that we don't even look at ourselves, or we're so used to seeing, psych issues or things having to do with mental health stigmatized as a problem or as something, as a weakness, even in the healthcare field, that being able to admit that you have mental health issues or that you struggle with depression or anxiety, it's just a hard thing. It's a hard topic. So I started seeing a therapist, and at first I was so sure it wasn't working because I swear I would just talk, just like I am here. I'm just talking, and she would just listen. She didn't usually give me a whole lot. I wasn't sleeping, so she gave me a few tips for, insomnia. But I started working out. I used to love working out, and then I just stopped for a few years. I was working so much. But I just was talking, and I think the more sometimes, even without like someone giving you input, the more you just hear yourself talk and the things that come out of your mouth, the more you can realize like, oh, that's not a healthy thought process, or wow, like if my patient said that to me, I would be a little concerned. Yeah, so I'm doing good now. Haven't been depressed in months, which is such a good feeling. I can honestly, like, it's the longest time since I was young that I haven't been depressed. I have been mildly to severely depressed basically my entire life, to like the point of not wanting to live like a couple times a year. I think what's also helped is, I recognized within my relationships things I was willing to stand for, things I wasn't, things that helped me. And just having like an amazing boyfriend who gave me space and, would call me on things and would say, he asked me every single day, like, how's your mental health? How are you doing today? And then just like follows up. Like if I'm not doing good, he's there in a second. If he'll tell me if something I'm saying, is not a healthy thought process, and I don't always want to hear it. I don't always agree with it, but usually after thinking, he's usually right. He's just a really great guy, and it helps so much more than he will ever know. It helps. So I used to struggle a lot with anxiety too. I would go to sleep at night and I would wake up with I'd have a really, really bad dream. Like I did something wrong at work, or I gave the wrong dosage or something. And I'd wake up and have such bad anxiety, like my heart would be palpitating and I couldn't breathe. And then I just would not be able to go to sleep because every time I went to sleep, I'd have that same dream over and over. And I don't really have that anymore, which is so good. I feel like I've been able to work through a lot of things. Yeah, so if you're struggling, think about therapy. Even just telehealth, like even just talking to someone who doesn't know other people in your life, is not going to tell anyone. There's so many options out there for like low cost therapy for like $30 a week or $30 a month. There's so many options to get the help that you need. It's just such a good feeling. It's such a good feeling to be happy and just honest to God happy with my life. And I feel like I'm able to now like think about things in the future, whereas before I didn't really see a future all the time. I kind of saw things day to day because I didn't know how long I'd be on this earth, and now I do, and I want to be here. So I'm present in my own life and making my choices and valuing my life and my time and my energy and my space, which in turn really helps me to value my patients. It's kind of funny, even at my like lowest point in my life, when I was in the medical field, CNA or nurse, I still valued like my patients' lives more than my own. I could be at home and thinking like, I don't want to be on this earth anymore, and then I go to work, and I was able to look at my patients and these like sweet old ladies and men and just like give them so much love and just love on them, and like it just brought me so much help to help other people. So yeah, it's kind of where I'm at right now today. Just kind of reflecting on this last year. So I'm gonna keep making these daily or every other day, or just kind of random whenever I feel like it. So if you're interested in some random rambling of a nurse manager, stay tuned.